highway is perfect. It is fast, smooth, safe. It gets you from point A to point B. You just drive, no unnecessary turns, no wrong decisions. In the same time, highways are easy to forget because when everything is smooth, you don't have to pay attention. Suddenly, when you go out of the highway, there are cities, stops you didn't plan, people you wouldn't have met anyway. And there are also tiny shops, maybe views you didn't Google in advance. And those are places you actually remember, not because the journey was efficient, but because you were present. Now we are living in a world when we are extremely connected. We have all the social media and platforms, and we can listen to the music from all around the world. We can hear the news from other side of the country. We can even meet online people who we never met before. But yet, we are feeling somehow disconnected. I'm here today to speak about one thing, one human capability, which we are slightly losing. And it's a capability of being surprised. All those digital platforms works like a highway. They give us very smooth experience. They don't want us to go away. You're just feeding us with what we like. And those platforms won't provoke you. But once you are surprised, there are emotions, there are feelings. You actually feel that you have some life. Strangely, the emotions and feelings are coming from the friction. When there is a friction, it creates tension and energy. And once there is an energy, you can really recognize those micro moments you will tell to your friends for years and years. Actually, do you remember the time when you get lost and you had to ask a stranger for direction? Maybe you discovered a food stand with really delicious food. Maybe you find a tiny spot with souvenirs and from local craft worker. Maybe it was raining, maybe it was super cold, but those are moments you remember. So when we are on the highway, what the highway cost us? We, as a human being, we are meant to share. We are meant to spend time in communities with other people. And also, the same thing is with music. I remember when I was in Korea, and every time I go to festival, I go through all the playlists to know to which show I should go and which show I don't have to visit. And at that time, on the playlist, there was some guy called Lee Sung-yoon. For me, European listener, it was K-pop, rock, indie, nothing special. But when I was in Korea, I decided, okay, let's be polite, let's go to the show. I went to the show, the club was crowded, I couldn't get inside, but finally I made it. And suddenly, I was in the middle of the crowd, jumping, dancing, even singing the chorus in Korean, and I don't speak Korean at all. And it showed me something, that the life, but also the music, is meant to be shared. And in this view, it brings you totally different direction. The other time I was in Brazil. And every time I go to conferences and showcase festivals, you know the drill. You get the hotel room to refresh, to be ready for a job which is starting in the morning and finishing the late night. So I did the check-in, I went to my hotel room, be ready for that. And then suddenly, 30 minutes after that, a bearded Brazilian guy came to my room and he said, I'm staying here with you, like it would be a normal thing. I was like, all right. But I was really happy to be in Brazil, so I didn't cause problems. I said, let's see where it will take us. The next morning, We had a breakfast together, and he told me that he is a promoter of the local festival, and also he is an activist. So he took me to the car, and he wanted to show me something. So we drove outside of Curitiba, the Brazilian city, and we drove to a prison where the former president of Brazil and the current president of Brazil, Lula, was imprisoned by the time. And near the prison, there was a small camp of musicians and activists who every morning and every evening was singing to that their favorite president to have a happy stay in the prison, or a bit happier than it is. And that's how me, some random kid from Czech Republic, appeared waving to the small window of that prison, and that moment taught me more than any article could or any book could. Actually, I lived the experience. It learned me a lot about Brazilian culture, and it reminds me something that the best things are usually not recommended. They are found also in the room you didn't expect to share. Presence. There's another thing what we are losing while we are driving on a highway. Do you remember the last time when you were listening to the songs and you thought that you are listening to the same artist which you started with, but it was completely someone else? And you didn't even know how many songs pass in between. You were just not present. You were on the autopilot. And for me, more and more in my life is not about how much I drive through, but if I am there when it is happening, when the life is happening. There is one word for that: mindfulness. And this is happening not on the highway. This is happening in the small streets. So I advise you, just exit the highway. Exit the highway with people you don't know. Exit the highway to places you have never been to. It can be in your city. Go to a club. Go to a festival. And I'm not just romantic about culture and art and music. Actually, culture is an infrastructure for well-being. There is a study from BMG where following a group of people 50 plus for 14 years. And in that study, it shows that people were visiting culture events at least once or twice per year, where 14% less probability of dying. Actually, people who were visiting culture events every second or third month, the probability of dying was less by 31%. On the other side, people who had never been to the events during those 14 years, 49% of them died. Leaders, politicians are speaking about one disease which we, as a modern society, have nowadays. And it's disease of loneliness, a social disconnection. World Health Organization actually reports that more than 100 people is dying per hour because of loneliness. Actually, being lonely, socially disconnected, is the same bad for you as smoking 15 cigarettes per day. This is my job. I'm a music programmer. I create a city of surprise, wellness center, a place where you can meet people. Algorithms are great in giving you what you already know and what you like. But curatorship, that's what I do, is about something different. It's about creating a space for encounters which wouldn't happen otherwise. Encounters with other people, encounters with new music, new culture, encounters with new food, new tastes. But most importantly, encounters with yourself. So don't stay in your algorithm. Just visit a club, because the music goes really deep inside of you, through all the layers, through body, mind, to your heart, and maybe visit the colors of Ostrava. But maybe visit a small, tiny club with 15 people in the basement. It's not about the scale, it's about the intensity. It's about breathing the same air. It's about getting stick to the floor and really experiencing that. Just exit the highway. How to do that in daily life? I don't want you to partying every day. Just pick one song and go deep. Maybe it can be a song which you like and which you think you already know. But now you really listen. Maybe you will find a sentence with new meaning for you. Maybe there is a new sound you didn't recognize before. Maybe there is something else. You are following your breath. Let's see what your body does. What about your heartbeat? What about your imaginations? Just listen differently. Do mistakes. Do mistakes with music. Just ask your friend what he or she likes to listen and play it. Tune on the radio station you really hate. Play a playlist on Spotify which is not for you. Just do those mistakes and make those frictions. And as I said, go live. At least once per month, go to the live event, but not because of the lineup, not because it's fancy to post on Instagram, just for being there. We all are living on a highway, and all the technologies around are creating highways for us. And I want to suggest to you something, because all the memories, the best memories and experiences are not happening on the highway. Actually, they are happening on those tiny streets at stops. So I suggest you, change the comfort you have for something else. Change the comfort for beautiful mistakes, for surprises, for being present. I don't abandon the technology. Actually, I like fast food on the highways. All people have highways, but just recognize when you are on the highway, and every now and then just exit the highway. Thank you.